What's up guys, it's BeeWee. Today I'll be going over the talent spec for Paladin dungeon farms. This talent spec is slightly different from my other videos but pretty similar. I'll be going over each talent selected and the reason behind it. My goal is to be quick and concise with this video. I'll provide a quick glance at my complete talent setup and what it's good for. I will then go into detail on why I choose each item. Each talent will be timestamped in case you want to skip ahead. Before I get into the video, please hit that like and subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. With that said, let's get into the video. The talent spec I use for my dungeon farms consists of putting 13 points into Holy, 21 into Protection, and 17 points into Retribution. The main goal of this talent build is to cover two things. 1. Provide enough AoE damage to kill the dungeon mobs as fast as possible, and 2. Provide enough protection to sustain a whole dungeon attacking you. The AoE damage within the talent spec comes from Consecration, Blessing of Sanctuary, and improved Retribution aura. The protection comes from Divine Strength, Toughness, Shield Specialization, Anticipation, Blessing of Sanctuary, and Pursuit of Justice. All of these combined allow for a clean one pull for most dungeons. I will now go into detail for each talent and the reason behind it. Divine Intellect is a no-brainer for me. The 10% intellect bonus that this talent provides when you have all 5 points into it increases your mana pool in addition to increasing your spell crit. This is because it increases your overall intellect. With my current gear set, this talent increases my mana by 345. That's an extra 2 rank 1 consecrations or a few flashes of lights. You will also need this in order to get to the consecration in the holy talent tree. Divine Strength is a new talent I decided to go into instead of Spiritual Focus. I realize I don't heal much when I'm not bubbled, so the 70% of not losing casting time from Spiritual Focus doesn't do much for me. Instead, I put 5 points into Divine Strength, which increases your overall strength by 10%. For Paladins, the Strength stat increases your attack power, but also increases your block value of your shield by 1 for every 20 points of strength added. With my current gear, this adds 1 block value to my shield after going into this talent. It's only 1, but that adds up when you have the whole dungeon attacking you, and it could help you survive. This will also allow you to get to the 3rd row of talents, which is necessary in the holy tree. Consecration is a must-have talent for these dungeon farms. This is your main source of AoE damage and stacks with spell damage. There's not much here to explain besides it's a must-have and you cannot skip this talent. The last 2 points I use in the holy tree are with Healing Light. This is not a completely necessary talent, and these 2 leftover talent points can be spent elsewhere if you want to. However, the extra 8% healing helps with Flash of Light or Holy Light when you get low and need to bubble and heal. This 8% heal increase stacks quite nicely with the spell power that you have. Now it's time to talk about the protection tree. In the first tier, you want to put all 5 points into Redoubt. Redoubt isn't necessarily going to proc very often, but what is important is what it opens up in the 3rd tier of talents. I'll be going over that talent after I explain the next 2 talents. In the 2nd tier of protection, Toughness is a must-have since it increases your total armor by 10%. Armor as a stat decreases the damage taken from all physical attacks. When I add an additional 10% armor to my current gear set, it provides an additional 2% damage reduction to all level 60 attackers. The damage reduction percentage does not stack 1-to-1 with lower levels, but it will still reduce the physical damage taken by 1 to 10 per hit from dungeon mobs. The closer the mobs are to 60, the more likely it will be a 1-to-1 ratio. That damage reduction adds up very fast and will allow you to pull more mobs with ease. 2 points into Guardian's favor allows you to use Blessing of Protection every 3 minutes and Blessing of Freedom every time it comes up on cooldown. Blessing of Protection every 3 minutes allows you to use your first bubble to get heals off. Then you can switch to Divine Shield once the 1 minute forbearance debuff is done. That leaves you 1 minute 45 seconds until you can use Blessing of Protection again. That becomes very useful in higher level dungeon farms, which I'll be releasing soon. The Blessing of Freedom duration increase is extremely useful in dungeons where mobs have nets or continuous slows such as Nomergon or SM Cathedral. Being able to use this and essentially last until the cooldown is up will help you get out of sticky situations. The third tier of the protection tree allows you to go into shield specialization, as long as you have the 5 points in Redoubt. The 3 points that go into this talent increase the amount of damage absorbed by your shield by 30%. That 30%, based on my gear, increases my block value from 50 to 65, which is a huge increase. That increase will substantially mitigate incoming damage and will keep you alive when pulling the whole dungeon. Also in the third tier is Anticipation. I put all 5 points into here because it increases your defense skill by 10. When you add defense, your stats for miss, dodge, parry, block all increase. Those 4 stats help you survive when pulling the whole dungeon and just adds on to the damage reduction. I highly suggest putting all 5 points into here to help you survive. Blessing of Sanctuary is the last and most crucial talent for dungeon farms. When you get to the top rank of Blessing of Sanctuary, it provides damage reduction of 24 from all sources and will deal 35 holy damage to any blocked attack. The 24 damage reduction is crucial to surviving the dungeon 1 pulls and will keep you alive when pulling the whole dungeon. The extra 35 holy damage for blocked attacks increases your DPS since you'll be blocking a lot of attacks. This is a must-have talent and this blessing should always be on when you're doing your pulls. When starting the Retribution talent tree, I put all 5 points into Benediction. This talent decreases the mana cost for all Judgment and Seals by 15%. This allows you to switch between Judgment of Light and Wisdom without draining your mana. I highly suggest this over Improved Might since you're not worried about attack power. In the second tier, I put all 5 points into Deflection. Deflection increases your parry chance by 5%, which adds 2 benefits. One is parrying will stop incoming damage from all mobs attacking you. Second is sometimes there's a swing timer reset when you parry multiple attacks. This allows you to get 2 attacks in back to back, and if you have Judgment of Light or Wisdom, that could provide a huge burst of health or mana. Both of these benefit you greatly when pulling a dungeon, and I believe it's a must-have. In the third tier, a must-have is Pursuit of Justice. This is a must-have because it increases your movement speed by 8% and will allow you to get a +7 stamina enchant to your boots instead of getting minor speed increase. The speed increase helps you create distance from the mobs when trying to pull the whole dungeon, and therefore lessening the damage being taken. Secondly, the free enchant slot to boots allows you to get +7 stamina, which is an extra 70 health. Though small, it could be the amount of health that keeps you alive versus dying. I also put 3 points into Vindication, which allows me to get to the 4th tier of the Retribution tree. This is not a necessary talent item and can be spent elsewhere in the Retribution tree. However, I feel like it's the most useful since it can reduce the damage done by dungeon bosses. If it procs, it decreases the strength and agility of that mob by 15%, which is substantial. Feel free to put these 3 points elsewhere in the Retribution tree if you'd like. I might switch 1 point out of this to go Seal Command, which I will explain in another video. In the 4th tier, I put 2 points into Improved Retribution Aura. This provides an additional 10 damage to your Retribution Aura. The extra damage is amazing when you have the whole dungeon attacking you and allows you to kill them quicker. So instead of doing 20 damage, it does 30 damage. I highly suggest going for this talent to kill the mobs faster in lower level dungeons such as Stockades and Scarlet Monastery. Here's a side-by-side comparison of my stats with my current gear set. I have highlighted the stats that have changed based upon my talent build. I'll leave this up for a little bit longer so you can see the difference. I will also have this linked on my website under the guides section. You can go to my website at BeeWee.tv. This is the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching until the end. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this content. Also, feel free to leave a comment. I do my best to respond to each comment and I'm open to any feedback that you guys have. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.